video topic is why ex-Catholics spread so many lies about Catholicism. I've gotten a lot of questions about this on TikTok, and Protestants have been telling me that ex-Catholics are actually the best source ever to learn about the Catholic faith because they used to be Catholic, but then now have an objective perspective leaving it. So first, I do want to acknowledge that today is September 11th. I want to talk about it before we get into the live stream. I think it would be inappropriate if I didn't, and I've honestly been thinking about it a ton today. I was reading a lot of articles about 9/11 and praying for our country. I think every American does that this time every year. A couple of the articles made me cry, and I actually learned more about it than I did in the past. I'm looking at my video script. Sorry, I am talking to you guys. I just want to speak very clearly about what I'm saying. So first, I can't believe that it's been 20 years. I think a lot of people remember exactly where they were when it happened, and I actually don't because I was too young. I was 7 years old at the beginning of second grade, and they didn't show it to our classroom at all. My parents didn't talk about it because I was so young. My first time actually watching the footage was in high school when I was 16, and I was shocked. I was so angry, which is an emotion I didn't expect. And it was just devastating and audacious watching what happened. And so it's really been in my adulthood what I've learned about it. My college actually does a memorial every year where they put up an American flag for every person who died. And then for people of other countries who died, they put up the flag of their country. And so I thought about it a lot when I was there. They do it for not just on September 11th, but around the time. So then in 2019, I went to the 9/11 memorial in New York City, and that was very, very intense. Just seeing how these giant holes in the ground, if you haven't been there, and then they have the names of all the victims who died. They even say some of the names. They have a woman's name and then unborn baby. And so I just spent like 20 minutes there alone. My friends were kind of going off doing something else, just like reading all the names and praying for their friends and family. So that was very impactful for me at all. But today I read a lot of things that I kind of want to share, that I do want to share. So almost 3,000 people died, but what I was really realizing today reading so many of the accounts is that I think the reason this was so intense for everyone, and like I said, it wasn't for me because I don't remember it happening, is just because there's tens of thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands who were close friends, colleagues, co-workers, family, extended family of the people who died. So it wasn't just them. And then something else that's really crazy and horrible is that the fumes from the fire and the airborne gasoline have actually killed a lot of people like 20 years later and will continue to because of all the damage. So a lot of people have had leukemia, a type of cancer called mesothelioma, cardiovascular disease, early onset dementia, and then respiratory illnesses like, I can't pronounce these, but asbestosis and pulmonary fibrosis. And then a lot of them from breathing in the fumes. And so it's like the first responders and also volunteers who went amongst the rubble. And so they also are dying of COVID at higher rates because of all these pre-existing conditions from 9/11. And then, of course, they have mental health issues like PTSD, survival guilt, depression, anxiety. And so amongst like the tens of thousands of people who survived and were part of the cleanup and rescue and everything, they're still being affected, not just emotionally, but with physical illnesses as well. And so reading all the articles today and crying, I really learned so much more about it. And I think praying and learning more about it is the best we can do to honor their memories and just stay more united as a country. Keith said, I was born 1 month after 9/11. It was very interesting for me when it was the first generation who was born after 9/11. But honestly, it was like my age and younger who it was as if we weren't alive because we didn't experience it. So Now we're going to get into the video topic, why ex-Catholics spread lies about Catholicism. So I've been on TikTok a lot. I've been talking about that on here some. So I made a TikTok recently and I'll read you what it said. So I don't know, you guys will have to go to my Instagram or TikTok, LizziesAnswers, to watch it. But one of the first slides, it said them. I grew up Catholic and went to Catholic school, and asterisk, insert lies about what the church teaches. And the next slide, where I look very judgmental, it says, ex-Catholics are, all caps, not a good authority. Most are misinformed. Research for yourself what the church objectively teaches. So the comment section was swarmed with Protestants who were so angry and just thought I was stupid for saying that ex-Catholics are misinformed. They're like, ex-Catholics are the people that you should go to learn about what the Catholic Church teaches. And I was like amazed reading all these comments because for the first time, I actually understood why people go to ex-Catholics and trust ex-Catholics. Because ever since like 2017, when I started looking into Catholicism, I was just really annoyed how ex-Catholics were going around spreading all of these lies. And I was like, why is anyone listening to them? Because they're so wrong. And so it helped me understand that people see them as like an objective voice. And they think Catholics are like lying to everyone. They think Catholics are worshiping Mary, but we're lying. But the ex-Catholics, they're honest about what the Catholics believe. So that's the perspective of a lot of people who are not Catholic, which is eye-opening. I'm so happy I understand that now and I'm able to make this video explaining it. So someone was saying, an example would be, if you want to learn about Mormonism, ask an ex-Mormon what the church teaches. And so I will say that I think this is a unique phenomena in Catholicism. It might be present in other religions. In the US, I've never seen it present in another form of Protestantism or religion. And there are so many reasons why it is unique to Catholicism. So before we get into those, I want to say the reason we can know objectively that ex-Catholics are spreading lies is because the Catholic Church writes everything down and puts it on the internet. So we have the Catechism, we have canon law, and we have papal infallibility documents and other documents from councils that are all available free online on the Vatican website, which is owned by the Catholic Church. And so if anyone wants to know objectively what we teach, you can read word for word in hundreds of pages outlining our exact theology. And I don't think there's any other religion or form of Christianity that's as intense about writing hundreds of pages down explaining it and then having it for free online for anyone to read. So you could think that we're lying about what we believe, but I mean, if you're gonna go there, I feel like we can't even have a constructive conversation about anything. So assuming that you think the Catholic Church is being honest about what it's teaching, you can easily see that the ex-Catholic is lying, maybe unintentionally lying, but you can immediately tell that the ex-Catholic is spreading false information about Catholicism because you can do a simple Google search and read the page of the Catechism that talks about it, or read the page of canon law, or read the sentence in the papal infallibility document, or read the paragraph from one of the councils in the church, like Vatican II, one of the documents coming out of that. So I realize that a lot of people don't know this, so I'm going to start sharing it in a lot of videos and live streams that everything is available for free to read online. And I've gotten so upset in the past, I feel bad about it now, that non-Catholics are believing the ex-Catholics, but I think they literally didn't know that we have everything for free on the internet for anyone to look at. So that's how we can know objectively whether or not an ex-Catholic is misinformed. And I shouldn't say the word lying, because I don't think they're intentionally lying. I think they genuinely believe what they're saying. They're just totally misinformed about it. Oh, and if you're not a Catholic, what you can do is just Google a topic and then put plus Catholic catechism in Google, and the exact part of the catechism will come up. Also, there is a Catholic encyclopedia called New Advent that just has loads of articles about Catholicism. It's not owned by the Vatican. It's like an independent scholarly group putting it together. But if you ever want to know anything about a specific saint, a dogma, purgatory relics, Mary, anything like that, you can just Google the topic and then put New Advent Catholic Encyclopedia, or just New Advent brings it up as well. And it's like Wikipedia, but legit, so many articles. So that's what I want to establish first, that everything is available for free online. Anyone can look it up and learn exactly what the Catholic Church teaches and believes. So, the reasons why this happens. Catholic school is horrible. And I don't know the solution to this. I don't know why. I've only been Catholic for 3 years. But from everyone I've talked to about it, and even people I've seen online who are ex-Catholics who went to Catholic school produces atheists. And I've heard that religion classes at Catholic schools will be like world religions. Do your final project on Zoroastrianism rather than learning about the Catholic faith. So I think parents who send their kids to Catholic school are like, my kid has an entire religion class every semester, so I don't need to teach them the faith. They're literally learning from Catholic experts about Catholic theology. And so I think the parents are like, okay, cool, I have it covered. I'm paying them to learn about Catholicism. This is great. I don't really have to do anything else. Maybe we'll pray the rosary as a family. Maybe we'll go to daily mass sometimes. But when it comes to catechesis and theology, their schools are teaching them that. So I think that's a big problem, and that's a huge reason why I probably wouldn't want to send my kids to Catholic school. Obviously, they're each unique, but in general, they produce a lot of atheists. And they produce a lot of ex-Catholics who say, I went to Catholic school. You hear that all the time. When an ex-Catholic is spreading a lie about Catholicism, they'll say, I even went to Catholic school, and this is what Catholics believe. So automatically non-Catholics are like, wow, this wasn't just a person part of a religion who went to mass sometimes, but they went to Catholic school for 10 years. They took theology every semester for 10 years. How could they be misinformed about Catholicism? Which, I mean, thinking from that perspective, that kind of makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you trust someone who was Catholic their whole life and went to Catholic school? So that's one of the biggest problems. I don't know the solution to it. Like I said I've only been Catholic for 3 years. If I ever got the opportunity to reform a Catholic school, that would be really cool. But I mean, it would have to happen, I feel like, on a local level. I don't know, maybe the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops could just, instate all these things. But anyways, that's a problem. Don't know the solution, but that's contributing to it. So the next thing is that there's this cultural Catholicism. So the church I grew up in, Church of Christ, you were either really passionate about it or you never showed up. So everyone who was part of my Protestant denomination, not only did they come to church every Sunday morning, they came Sunday morning, Wednesday night, Sunday night, potlucks, small group, social events throughout the week, and every Sunday, everyone came an hour early for Sunday school and Bible class. So everyone part of Church of Christ was 2 hours on Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, youth group events throughout the week, so many, service projects. So everyone who was part of Church of Christ, you were either 100% part of it, or why even come? So Catholicism is very different. People can be very lukewarm and still identify as Catholic, which you can see in big cities around the country. One of my best friends lives in Boston, and she says on dating apps, a lot of the guys say Catholic in their bio, even though they never go to mass. And so there's a lot of people who are like, I'm Catholic, or I was Catholic for 20 years, or I was Catholic for 15 years, for 30 years. There are people who identified as Catholic and kept the Catholic label for a long time, but were not participating consistently throughout that time. So the reason people say this is because we believe as Catholics that everyone, once you have a Catholic baptism, you're Catholic for life. You have an indelible mark on your soul. You can stop going to Mass completely, but you'll always be Catholic. And so because of that, ex-Catholics have kind of adapted that language where they'll say, I was Catholic for 20 years, even if they didn't go to Mass for 18 of the 20 years, they'll still say Catholic because the church teaches that technically, because of their baptism, they're Catholic and have that indelible mark on their soul. And so, cultural Catholicism, people can be very lukewarm, and it does have to do with ethnic groups somewhat, like certain groups. Cultural Catholicism is more part of their culture, whereas like for Church of Christ, the church I grew up in, it comes from the American Restoration movement, like in the end of the 1800s. There's not really any, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just like, doesn't relate to any specific country or ethnic group or anything, whereas Catholicism is very, very, very much tied to culture. And I think everyone knows it's the cliche of Catholics who will come to church just on Christmas and Easter. They might carry around a rosary, they might believe in God, they might pray as a family, but they're not coming to Mass every week. They'll say, I was Catholic for this amount of time, even though they were not at Mass every week. They came to Mass twice a year. So something contributing to this is that we have a sacrament called confirmation. And so okay, let me know if it's cutting out and I can try to change the connection. Okay, so someone commented that, where did it go? Anyways, I lost it. But someone said that they don't like confirmation in the West. So for a lot of Christian history, confirmation and baptism were intertwined. And so when a baby was baptized, that they were also confirmed within that same sacrament, well, two different sacraments, but they're confirmed at that time. And also, Alexa, stop. I play these brain games on an app at a certain time, so it was reminding me of that. Okay, so confirmation for a lot of Christian history used to be at baptism, and then they would also receive the Eucharist then, whereas now Catholicism has spread it out to the intention is to improve catechesis. So instead of just being confirmed in Eucharist at baptism when you're a baby, you receive communion, you have first communion at a certain time. It differs based upon the diocese and parish. And then, so like first communion could be at like, 8 or 9, and then confirmation could be at like 11, 12, 14, 16, it completely varies. And so a lot of kids and their parents, once they get confirmed, it's a really intense class. It's like every day for a year or two, not every day, every week. It's once a week for a year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes twice a week. It's like a pretty intense class. And so a lot of people think after they go through confirmation, they learned all about Catholicism and that's it. They don't have to learn anything else. They did this intense confirmation class. And a lot of Catholics I talk to actually stop attending Mass after confirmation class. And so I'm not at all against, oh, there's like a fly in here. I hope it's not a bee. I'm not against confirmation, but I think that the church needs to, oh my gosh, what is that? I think the church needs to communicate that, what is it? Okay, I'm just gonna try to ignore it. I think the church needs to offer additional catechesis after confirmation class. So for example, people should be encouraged to come to a youth group every night or a Bible class every week. That should be kind of, not forced, but highly recommended and offered after confirmation. And so, but think about that. Confirmation is only for a year or 2 years. And so after someone's gone through that, is that really enough to be an expert on Catholicism? I say no. Like the church I grew up in, we were there 5 hours a week learning about our denomination and what we believed. And so that's like a really intensive thing. Whereas Catholics, it's like, even if they go to Mass every week and then they do their confirmation class for a year, that still really isn't that much time learning about Catholicism. So another thing is parents have done a horrible job passing on the faith, and I think you can apply this to a lot of different religions in America and a lot of different forms of Protestantism. So parents are just choosing to not pass on the faith. And like I said, Catholic school is part of that because they think that their kid goes to Catholic school or their kid goes to confirmation class. And I think parents who are lay Catholics who never went to school for theology, they don't have even an undergrad in theology, not a master's, not anything, they'll think, I'm not a professional theologian. I'm not even a Bible class teacher at the parish. So I'm going to trust the person who's in charge of catechism class and the person in charge of religion class at the Catholic school. I'm going to trust them over myself to pass on the faith. So I don't completely blame parents, even though I do totally blame parents for that. So that's part of it. And I think it's good that I'm becoming aware of all of this information before I have kids, just because I'm going to be like hyper aware of how to teach them about the faith, just because I know it's so common for people to stop attending mass. Sorry guys, talking a lot. Okay, so then something else I want to go over. Let's see, talked about that. Okay, so something else I want to direct, and you can talk about this too with anyone you know who's not Catholic, who is saying, I trust what the ex-Catholic is saying about Catholicism. So if you're interacting with someone who believes lies about Catholicism because an ex-Catholic told them the lies, here's what you should tell them. Okay, pretend for a second, obviously I believe Catholicism is true, but talking to someone who's not Catholic, you can tell them, pretend for a second that Catholicism is true, and pretend for a second that you can come to the truth of Catholicism through factual evidence, historical evidence about the early church. You can believe in Catholicism, find it to be true based upon evidence. So if that's the case, then anyone who left Catholicism, it's because they're ignorant of the evidence. They don't understand the evidence. And of course, conversion is a little bit more complicated. We are humans, we have emotions, we're passionate about things. It doesn't just come down to information, but it kind of does in a lot of ways. Whether or not Catholicism is true, it comes down to historical facts, it can be proven. So if you're in the thought experiment right now and you're not Catholic, if you're sharing this with your friends, say, obviously, if someone leaves something that can be proven through facts, the reason they leave is because they don't know the facts. Like, that's why they left, because they didn't know the factual information proving the truth about the church. And so that's really, really important. And I think people who are listening to the ex-Catholics to get their information about the Catholic Church, they haven't even thought, like, what if it is true? And I think a lot of different Protestants, they don't put as much emphasis on truth and facts the way the Catholic Church does. Obviously, a lot of Protestant churches do, but Catholicism specifically, and a lot of, older denominations of Protestantism do as well, but Catholicism specifically really does focus on hard evidence. We believe that we can come to truths just about the existence of God through philosophical arguments, which is, I think, a form of science, not hard science, but we can come to truths about the Catholic Church and God through evidence. And when it comes to just beliefs in God, obviously that's not, completely based on historical evidence. There's other philosophical things that you can come to beliefs about God. But when we're comparing Protestant churches to Catholic churches, we really rely on facts and evidence of what, I don't know what it is. We really rely on facts and evidence about what the early Christians believed. And that's the whole reason I converted, because I looked. I hope you guys see it in the shot and can tell me what it is. Okay, so we look at facts. What did the early church believe? This is why I converted. I'm like, wow, the early church believed a ton of Catholic things. Therefore, the earliest Christians were Catholics. The first church was Catholic. It was based on historical evidence. That was why I converted, historical evidence. So Obviously, if it can be proven through historical evidence that Protestantism is wrong and Catholicism is right, then people who leave what can be proven through historical evidence didn't know the historical evidence. So obviously, that's something that a lot of people, well, it's not obvious. A lot of people don't think about this who aren't Catholic because they haven't really like put themselves in the mindset, like what if Catholicism is true? So that's one of the reasons as well. I'm gonna look through my live stream script to see if there's anything I forgot. Okay, so I talked about, if you're new here, I'll go over the summation of it. So the first thing I talked about, number one, is that it's a unique phenomenon in Catholicism, not present in other religions, where people who are ex-Catholic are super ignorant about the faith. So that's number one. And then I talked about how everything is available online for free to research. Everyone can just Google Catholic Catechism, canon law, papal infallibility statements, council documents. You can just Google all of that. It's for free, available online on the Vatican website, which is run by Rome, by Pope Fritz's staff and everything. So everything's available for free online. So it's really easy to compare and contrast what your ex-Catholic friend is saying versus what the church officially teaches, which is all available for free online. And then I talked about how Catholic school is horrible for a lot of reasons. It's producing atheists. And then I talked about how, oh, this is one that I forgot. Okay, and then I talked about cultural Catholicism. And then this is the final thing I want to talk about. So I believe the Catholic Church could do a lot better when it comes to catechesis, specifically in the US. I've visited Catholic churches in other countries, but I don't live there, so I don't know enough information. But at least in the US, our catechesis in general, teaching about the faith, I think is bad. I think it could be a lot better. I think that bishops need to take control of the diocese and really ensure that people are learning about the faith. So you kind of have to go out of the way to be catechized. Like, a lot of parishes will have maybe a Bible study. Some parishes don't even have a Bible study. They don't have a young adult group. A lot of them do have youth groups, but something weird as well is that even when the parish tries to have more catechesis opportunities, people don't join. Like, something about the culture of Catholicism in the US is, even if presented with a Bible study group, they'll be like at my parish, there's like 300 people and there's like 12 people in the Bible study. People just don't want to become part of the Bible study. And I don't have the answer for why that is, but there's just like this culture that only wants to go to mass every week. And that's like, some people consider a lot. Because some people, you know, will come to mass for Christmas and Easter. So a lot of Catholics are like, I'm already coming to mass once a week. You know, 4/5 of Catholics don't come to mass every week. So they're like, I'm already coming to mass every week. I go to confession at least once a year. I'm doing really, really well. So because they're comparing themselves to everyone who's lukewarm and is super apathetic, they think that they're like going above and beyond, when really, going to mass once a week and going to confession, it really isn't that much, you know? It's like an hour. Let's calculate how long. So one time in a homily, the priest told us what % of our life going to mass every year is. So there's 52 weeks. So then we'll add on a few holy days of obligation. So 57 hours. So how many hours in a year? So I did that wrong. Okay, so divided by 8,060. Okay, so if you go to mass every week and on holy days of obligation, that is 0.008% of the year. 0.008% of the year if you go to mass every week, if you look at all the hours throughout the day. So I think that's like minimum, and we should put a lot more effort into other opportunities. So I think every single parish needs to have multiple Bible classes. We need to encourage people to go to Bible class before mass on Sunday mornings, which I know seems impossible, but I think we should at least try. to get everyone to come to Mass an hour early, and just like in Protestant churches where they have Sunday school, where they have Bible classes for the children to teach the children like age-appropriate theology that they can understand at the time. So I think that would be amazing. So we're not just teaching kids during their catechism class, not catechism, during their confirmation class, but like their entire lives. For an hour before Mass, they're doing Bible class, Sunday school. I think that would be really important. And then the parents can go to a Bible class. So I think we need to offer that opportunity. And I think it would be really hard. It would take like a long time to create a culture of that. But I think we should at least try to just get an extra hour on Sunday where everyone is coming for Bible class, Sunday school, to learn more. So I think that needs to happen. I think they also could have more lectures at churches where they have guest speakers talking about theology, or, you know, someone in the parish who has a theology degree. They could do like twice a month lectures. You can invite people to come. Again, there might not be a lot of people who come, but I think over time you could create a culture of that. And a lot of people I've talked to actually who didn't do the confirmation classes as a kid, even though they grew up Catholic, but they had to go to RCIA as an adult. And they've even said, I'm so happy I didn't do confirmation classes in middle school and instead got to do RCIA because I learned so much. So I don't know if we should encourage people to go to RCIA who grew up Catholic, or maybe we could create another RCIA type class for adults of people who grew up Catholic. And, you know, I don't think the bishops are going to mandate any of this, but we need to at least try to have catechesis opportunities. So yeah, I totally think that the Catholic Church has blame in the matter. Like, Catholic schools are, I think, being run by parishes and priests and religious communities and stuff who are official members of Catholic leadership and Catholic orders and everything. So I think they could be doing a much better job with Catholic school. I think individual priests and bishops should be offering more opportunities for people. And part of it as well is we have priest shortages. And so I think the priests feel like they're already doing so much with running daily Mass and confession and baptisms and funerals and all these things, and they might feel like there's not time for it. But I honestly think, you know, if you're a priest running a parish and you're the only priest there, why don't you talk to people from the parish and find someone who has a theology degree, and you can put them in charge of teaching a Bible class or starting a lecture series. Like, I think there's so many people, and I experienced this in Protestantism. This doesn't really apply to Catholicism, but it does apply to the US. In Protestantism, in some Protestant churches, like evangelical, I've noticed, and this is like all of American culture, there's an anti-intellectualism where people actually don't trust people with degrees. So my parents both have MDivs in Christianity, and then they also were missionaries for 5 years. And in the churches we were part of growing up, they didn't go out of the way to ask my parents to lead Bible classes and to lead lectures and to preach. Even though everyone knew, oh, they were missionaries for 5 years and have 3 years of grad school in Christianity. You know, like, they should be the person leading up all the small groups, but they weren't asked to do it. So I wonder if we have any of that culture because we're American in US Catholicism. But I think definitely the priests at each parish should seek out people in the parish who have a degree and put them in charge of leading some of these catechesis opportunities. And, you know, it doesn't always fall on the priest either. Parishes all have a parish committee, and people on the parish committee should be thinking, how do we make sure that everyone understands the faith really, really well? And so they should be offering Bible study, catechesis, lecture opportunities. And I mean, it's really hard. Like, it takes a lot of work to, you know, put together a Bible study that has a lot of research and evidence in it, rather than, you know, just sitting around being like, how does this Bible story affect your life? Which is good, but you also need to have that evidence and the facts about it. So we need stuff on the parish level to really teach about the faith. And it's really, really hard because, like I said, people don't want to get involved. Like my parish with 300 people, only 12 people come to Bible study. So It's an uphill battle, but I think we should at least try. And I think if we start now, we can create a culture moving forward. And maybe there's like a bee or a fly or something. And maybe in like 100 years, everyone will be doing Sunday school before Mass every week. And everyone will know a ton about the faith. And if people do leave the Catholic faith, they're not going to be spreading lies about Catholicism. And actually, in 100 years, a lot of civilizations are going to die out because of global warming. And I was talking about this with one of my best friends because she was reading a lot of articles on it. So then I read a lot of articles on it. And, you know, there are some people who are talking about how, like, humans are going to die out in 2100 because of climate change and everything. And whether or not you believe global warming is human caused or not, this is still going to happen. So anyways, we're probably not going to die out. Probably just a lot of civilizations are going to end. Billions of people will die, but there will be some people who will survive. Like this one article I read, it said that humans are like the best animal species ever because we live on so many different parts of the world we live in, whereas a lot of other animal species only live like in one continent or one location. So we live everywhere and we can survive on different diets, whereas a lot of other non-human animal species can't. So we can be vegan, we can be carnivore. Obviously it's not the best for health, but you can like survive on a carnivore diet. We can be herbivores, omnivores. There are just so many different ways for humans to eat, and so we'll be able to adapt to the changes. And then obviously we have our brains, so we can come up with different survival tactics that non-human animals can't. So yeah, we'll definitely survive as a species, but billions of people are gonna die. And when I was learning about this, because my best friend was like, this is so weird, like we're gonna all die out, how do you feel about that? And I was like, as long as we have a couple bishops and priests in the area that's going to survive, we'll be fine. Catholicism will continue. So we have to make sure with all the climate change and people dying and natural disasters and everything, we have to make sure that we have a really strong Catholic presence wherever humans are going to survive. So that'll be really important. And I guess we probably won't be here to see it if you're like alive right now. But our children and grandchildren are going to grow up in a pretty crazy world. So go vegan, because meat is the #1 cause of global warming. Really important to do that. Also, I've been working on saving plastic and I'm trying to live like a zero waste plastic. Obviously I have a water bottle here, which is such a bad example. But I've actually been refilling this. I've started bringing a reusable coffee mug places for when I get coffee. And then I've actually been using it as a water bottle too after rinsing it out. So I have been trying to get better. Okay. Someone is talking about how there's no moderators here. Wow, interesting. Okay, it's been 38 minutes. That was my video script of everything I wanted to talk about. So now I'm going to read some of your comments. Oh, also I wanted to say the reason I haven't been uploading, I have 2 videos filmed and ready to go, but my campus ministry job started up, and because it's the beginning of the semester, there's so much work to do with orientation events and meeting everyone and starting up things, so many meetings. And so it's just like extremely time intensive the past 2 weeks. And I think next week, definitely after next week, it's going to go like way down with the time commitment into it. But yeah, it's just because it's the beginning of the semester and there's a lot of chaos going on, and you know, things were shut down, so now they're opening back up. So there's a lot of like new regulations to figure out and just like a lot of stuff to do. Like one of the things I have to do is I have a card that I use to like get into all the buildings and identification and everything in one of the schools. And I was not at the school for like a 1.5 years because of COVID. And so it like completely deactivated. I have to get a new one. I was locked out of my email, just like so many logistical things. So anyways, that will end next week, maybe week after, but there will be a video on Wednesday, probably before. Why does Lizzie keep a wall? Super comment. Thank you for the donation. Christopher Woods says, will you do a video on Saint Faustina? I will put that on my video suggestion. I actually have not read up on her. It's probably something I'm going to be really excited about when I do. Everyone tells me to read her diary. If you guys didn't know, I might actually have the prayer card. I guess I don't. Anyways, if you guys didn't know, she made the image that's in the back of my YouTube videos where it's Jesus with like red and white stripes. Let's go to my video topics. Okay, Saint Faustina. I am doing my saints series. So far I've done like 20 saints for this, 10 saints for this, 15 saints for this, like topical. So let me know if you guys also want me to do them, like one featured video on a specific saint. Since I wasn't reading the comments for most of this video, everyone's talking to each other. So it's kind of hard to figure out, to find a comment that's addressed to me because you guys are talking to each other and it's like for a while, so I can't keep up with what you're talking about. Okay. You See Me Rollin' says, Lizzie, I have had a lot happen for me this past month. 2 things. I just got accepted to JB Catholic to study film. Yay, good job. That's so exciting. And I have returned from a solo road trip I took and planned myself. That's so fun. It must feel so good being, you know, locked in our houses all the time and not being able to like go out to eat or, you know, shopping, normal things. So it must feel so good to just like be on the road and like go so many places. Ugh, it must be so cathartic. I think a lot of people must have done that during COVID instead of like plain just drove around a lot. So George Laba Asimo asks, have you ever been to an Eastern Catholic church before? What do you think of them? I currently attend a Melkite church right now as a Latin. So I have talked about this a lot, but I absolutely love Byzantine Catholic churches. I've been to a lot. I go to it sometimes. I wanted to be Orthodox rather than Catholic, but I had to be Catholic factually. So I really, really love the Eastern essence. I did my room tour recently. I have icons literally everywhere. So I really like the essence a lot. Okay. Muscular Christianity? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Pick a Fudge asks, cats or dogs? I'm definitely a cat person. I have loved 3 different dogs in my life amongst all the dozens, probably hundreds of dogs I've met. I've only liked 3. I think dogs who are not trained is why I hate dogs. Just because I hate when I go to someone's house and they jump up on me and are barking super loud and lick me and like follow me around, like, ugh. It's just like not consent. Like I don't want any person or any animal to touch me without my consent. I just hate it. So cats will come up to you, stand a foot away and look up, and they might softly meow at you. They might try to smell you, but they won't touch you. And so that's honestly why I like cats more. And there are a few dogs I've met who are my friends' dogs who are very well trained. And I think because I've had the opportunity to like pet them rather than them like forcing themselves on me, that's helped a lot. And yeah, so I do love a few dogs. One of my best friend's dogs is named Cara, and I love Cara so much, and I babysat her and walked her and stuff, and I love her. So there are a few dogs, but the dogs that I have liked, everyone's like, it's a dog that acts like a cat. So, and I act like a cat. I'm totally like a cat. Like their pupils get really big and then slits, and that's in bipolar. Like in mania, your pupils get huge and then tiny in depression. And then I like love sitting on the floor and working on the floor. And I also love being cozy. Like I edit in bed all the time and emails in bed. So I really relate to cats a lot. Okay. Adrian Podasialo says, Lizzie, how would you answer an 11-year-old girl who asks you how to become a better Catholic? Are you 11? That's so cool. So I would say to participate in the sacraments as much as possible, not just minimum. Try to go to adoration and daily mass, come up with a daily prayer schedule and reading the Bible schedule. I have an entire video I made a couple months ago on Catholic apps, so definitely watch that, because a lot of the apps I use have a ton of prayer activities and Bible verses and just a way to really implement scripture and prayer into your everyday life. They make it super easy. So that's amazing. And then join Catholic Bible study or Catholic small groups. I think getting to know other Catholics, it helps so much on motivating you in your faith and keeping you so close to God. Christianity was started as a collectivist religion, and we live in an individualistic country. And so I think a lot of us think that we can do our faith on our own with God, just us and God, but it's all about being in a community together. So having close Catholic friends is really important as well. And also go to confession a lot. I think a lot of people think confession is just for Lent or only once a year, or this can't possibly be a mortal sin. Like, anytime I do something that's grave matter, I go to confession. I go to confession every 6 to 8 weeks. So I think that's very, very helpful, being accountable of actions, because Catholicism is so much about actions, because that is a huge way that we love God, and it's how God loves us. Everything that is sin is harming us or harming other people. So Jesus is just looking out for our hearts and our safety and our happiness. So regularly going to confession and keeping track of that is super helpful. And on the video I mentioned that has the Catholic apps, one of them is the Laudate app. And they have a confession feature with examples of things to go to confession for, which is super helpful. So I hope that helped. Caitlin says, Lizzie, could you make a video about Saint Tauric something? Okay, I'm gonna write that down. I screenshotted it just because it's difficult to spell. Thorhalsen. I have not heard of them. Michelle says it sounds German. Patrick says, Lizzie, what would you say to Protestants who say that their theology is the original, whereas Catholicism is not? So it all comes down to facts. I think if this is someone who's your close friend or family member, you can challenge each other to read a book. And so you can say, if you read this book, proving Catholicism is the early church, I'll read your book, proving that Protestantism is the early church. I think it's really helpful if you just have that two-way communication. It really communicates that you're not a hypocrite, because it says that you would convert into Protestantism if you found that it was true and Catholicism was wrong, which is ultimately how you should think. I think it's just like you're totally a hypocrite if you expect your Protestant friend to leave their church, but you wouldn't be willing to leave your church. And obviously I believe Catholicism is true, but you know, there's always that small percentage that it's wrong. And if we had more evidence or something, we might become Orthodox or Protestant or agnostic or Jewish. I've talked about this a lot. So there is that like slight chance that you could be wrong. And so I think when dialoguing, and this is with friends and family, you can say, I'll read your book if you read my book, and then have a discussion together. But if it's someone who you're just talking to on the internet and they're like, Protestantism is the early church, you can send them resources and stuff, but it's unlikely that they're going to read a book that you send them. You should try though. And so you could send some internet research about it. I know the website New Advent is super helpful. It has so much research on it about the early church and Catholic theology. So if you Google New Advent and a topic, it will come up. It's the Catholic Encyclopedia. Super legit. I love it. So that is helpful. But yeah, if you're just talking to people on the internet, it's unlikely that they're gonna dialogue a ton, but sometimes they do. So you might as well try. Blood Covenant says it's that easy. A basic compare and contrast. We can speak about original doctrines of the apostles and see how far from that Roman Catholicism is. Also, use my videos as resources. I've made a ton of videos about the early church. I have specific videos talking about what the early church believed. I have one video, what did the early church believe? And then I have another one talking about how the early church believed in the Pope. And I have another video, when did the Catholic Church begin? Talking about other early church. So I have like 3 videos about that. If you ever are responding to someone in like an apologetics debate on Twitter or TikTok, you could always DM me and ask if I have a video on that topic and I'll send it to you. I have over 130 Catholic videos, and so obviously you guys are not going to be familiar with all of them, but I remember everything I've uploaded, so I can always find it and send it to you. I probably have a video on the debate that you're going through. Patrick says, can you please make a video about doctors of the church, Liz? There are so many. Maybe I could do like part 4 or something. I guess if I did like really, I think there's like over 30. Let's see, Catholic doctors of the church. I think I'm gonna do a female doctors of the church just because there's 4, and I really want to start making content proving that Catholicism is super pro women, because a lot of people see the church as like misogynistic and stuff. So let's see how many doctors. 30. I was gonna say 36. I didn't want to be wrong though. So there's 36. So even if I did a video and everyone got 1 minute, it would be a 36-minute video, which people would watch, but not a ton of people. So you see me wrong. Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Danny says that's not a joke. They do that to idols as well. Wow, people don't think it's funny. Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow, people really couldn't take the joke. Okay. Rachel Yoder says, Lizzie, how do you feel about anime shows, excluding anything obviously immoral? I've had a lot of mixed answers on this topic, both from my priest and other figures in my life. So the only anime show I've watched is Death Parade. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's like about heaven and hell and judgment and morality. One of my agnostic friends actually loves it, so we watched it together in college, and some of the episodes we watched with some of our other friends. And one of the episodes at the end, so basically they're sent to heaven or hell. There's like, it's not religious, but you know, it has those undertones. So one time, one of the person was sent to hell instead of heaven, and we got into an argument about it, and I was crying, and I was like, no, that person has a pure heart, it wasn't their fault. So it's very intense. So I love Death Parade. I don't know that much about anime, so I don't even know what you're talking about with like moral dilemmas or something, but I know I am very careful with media that I consume, whether on Netflix, YouTube. I don't watch many TV shows or movies because a lot of them are total trash. So Robert Leslie says, hey Liz, I was able to find a PDF of a homily from St. John Chrysostom in the 4th century where he specifically condemns wife beating and spousal abuse. That's so cool. Send it to me. I can include that in my pro-women video. True Faith, what kind of hairbrush do you use? I'll go grab it. So I think I'm wearing a crop. Okay. I don't want to show my stomach in this video. A lot of times the top of me is super modest, but then I'm like wearing really short shorts or something, because they're like my pajama shorts. Okay, so here's my brush. Like a woman, I have a ton of like hair on it. Yeah, so I got this at Rite Aid. It says Conair. It's light pink, that's why I got it. So my hair is actually really, really easy. It's thin and it's straight. So when I get out of the shower, I never apply heat to it. maybe like once a year I apply heat. So what I do when I get out of the shower is I brush it every like 3 minutes. Maybe not every 3 minutes, every like 5 minutes or something. And then like within 40 minutes or an hour, it's like completely dried. So I just brush it to make sure that it dries straight. If I don't brush it, sometimes it's not like perfectly straight. So that's what I do. And I shower at night a lot. So the next morning I put my brush under water and I like get my hair kind of wet, and then I brush it every like 5 minutes as it's drying, and then it gets to be like that. So Caitlin Huddleston says, I really like this new pope. Okay. Ephesus of Corinth says, it's been 2 years and the deacon never returned my message. So I've actually experienced this where bishops don't respond to my emails, which I think is so weird because they literally have a staff. And so when I write to a politician or a corporation, they give me a response, you know, at least an automated response, or they like copy and paste a paragraph they send for that specific issue, but they just literally never respond. And one time I was writing about like a specific racist situation I experienced at a church that I was visiting, and I thought it was like really, really, really important to point out so that they could communicate with the priest and the parishioner who I identified, and I never got a response. And I was like, seriously? Like, this is a really serious evangelism, it's just scandalizing issue going on. And then I've written specific bishops about, there's this one diocese, and there's like a Catholic pro-choice group in the diocese who's calling themselves Catholic and supporting abortion. And so I wrote to the bishop and I was like, yo, do you know this is going on in your diocese? And I had like direct quotes from their website, no response. So yeah, I mean, maybe bishops don't like when they're getting responses asking them to like, you know, like, I don't know, they might interpret it as like I'm attacking them and they don't like that I'm like complaining about an issue, but I kind of feel like, what do you want? Like, do you only want people to write like affirmation letters to you? Especially because most people don't like have a personal relationship with their bishop. So like, yeah, what do you want? Like a Christmas card? But if someone writes an email about a problem, like you're never gonna respond to it? I don't know, it just like really rubs me the wrong way. Like I send emails to corporations a lot. Like recently I contacted Beyond Meat and Impossible Meat, which are vegan fake meat companies, because Beyond Meat has a Beyond Meat sandwich at Dunkin' Donuts and Impossible Meat has a breakfast sandwich at Starbucks. But they have non-vegan eggs and non-vegan cheese in them. So even though it's fake meat, vegans can't get the sandwiches. And so I asked them if they could collaborate with this vegan egg company called Just Eggs. And then I also recommended some vegan cheese companies so they could make like totally vegan breakfast sandwiches. And I got an email. You know, like maybe literally no one read it. They said a person read it and then sent, you know, like a response they send to everyone, but like at least I got a response, you know, like, and like that's a gigantic corporation, you know. I also sent an email to Starbucks the other day asking if vegan milk could be the same price as dairy milk and if we could get like $1 saved for bringing our own cup rather than 10 cents, because I think that would motivate people to bring their own cups and not plastic waste. And Starbucks gave me a response that day. And I'm like, why can't the bishop give a response? You know, they literally have a staff. It's not like the one bishop is reading all the emails and getting like hundreds of emails a day. So literally, I should work for a bishop's office. I would reply to everyone's emails, you know, just give like a paragraph response, copy and paste. Thank you so much for reaching out, you know? So yeah, that really annoys me. Chaya says, I've sent emails to academics who never responded to me. I mean, I've experienced the exact opposite, especially with my fiance, but different people I've reached out to have definitely gotten back. So yeah, but academics don't have like a 5-person staff, so I think it's a lot different. No one says that's a good idea to have vegan meals. Burger King has Impossible Burger, but they nuke it rather than grill it. What does that mean? Yeah, I'm not a Burger King person, and I only learned recently that they have like a ton of vegan things on their menu. So the next time I'm on a road trip, I'm gonna go to Burger King and try it out. They have a lot of vegan things. But Taco Bell is my favorite though, because you can get a lot of vegan things, like 5 vegan things on the menu, and you can put like a ton of vegetables and stuff on them, which is way healthier. They've like beans and rice and tomatoes, avocado, lettuce, like so many things that are really healthy. Okay. Michelle Sunshine Star says, I love Taco Bell. They say anything you can substitute with beans. Yeah, and they have black beans and refried beans. So I love beans so much. They're a huge part of my diet, so much protein. Caitlin says, I would be cautious purchasing from one of these fast food chains if you're vegan or vegetarian. I recently found out that McDonald's actually has ground beef products in their fried oil. So I actually go to PETA's website and about different restaurants. They have web pages for like every restaurant updated, sharing whether or not things are vegan. And McDonald's actually doesn't have like any vegan food besides their fries. They might, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but like even the hash browns at McDonald's are not vegan. And like the salads have non-vegan dressing. So McDonald's specifically, I'll get fries and that's literally it. Maybe like a coffee with nothing in it, but you can get apple slices. The apple slices are vegan. So yeah, McDonald's sucks. In other countries, they do have vegan hash browns. And actually I just saw an article today, in Europe, McDonald's is introducing a vegan burger. So, and Dunkin' Donuts, actually, the hash browns at Dunkin' Donuts are vegan and they're really good. And they also have avocado toast. So Dunkin' Donuts is a great place. But none of the donuts at Dunkin' Donuts are vegan, which is so lame. Like, it's so easy to make vegan donuts. Sorry I'm mispronouncing your name. Nizika Kawal says, I work as social media manager in my diocese and respond to all messages on social media and email. Wow. Yeah, that's how I expect it to be. So I was really confused why like 5 dioceses never responded to me. Okay. So people are talking about different fast food chains now. Michelle says, maybe you should become a secretary, Lizzie. Yeah, maybe I should apply for a job in a diocese to fix it. I've actually considered applying for a job in my psychiatrist office because they are so bad about getting back to you about problems. Like, their staff just sucks. And this is my 2nd psychiatrist office with a horrible staff. Like, so many issues with my medications and appointments because they're just horrible. Like, my current office, you can't even call them. Like, when you call them, they're like, we never pick up our phone, but you can leave a message. And literally the messages are full. Like, you can't leave a message. And it's just like, why don't you have enough staff to literally pick up the phone? It's so ridiculous. Google account says, hi, Lizzie. I like the color of your hoodie. Thank you. I'm really not a purple person. But part of the reason I bought this is because it came with a matching mask. So like when it's colder outside, I can wear this and match my mask, which is really cool. Because that's how like all of us are getting through the pandemic, right? By like finding cute masks and making it into fashion statements, because otherwise it's like super exhausting. Okay, Steven Johnson, thank you for the donation, says, Lizzie, are you familiar with YouTuber Marcus Rogers? He is a charismatic Christian who I believe could become a charismatic Catholic. No, I've never heard of him. I'll screenshot this though. Marcus Rogers, I'll write that down. Okay. Marcus Rogers, YouTuber. Yeah, if you guys want me to respond to any YouTube videos, please send them to me because I really enjoy making them and they get a lot of views. There's this one video on jubilee that people wanted me to respond to, but it was like pretty controversial. It was like ex-evangelicals talking about, you know, like the hot button issues like abortion and gay marriage and stuff. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna be controversial on here. I've already made it really clear where I stand on these issues, and I don't need to be bringing it up every video. Okay, Lizzie, you should make a video on theosis. Ooh, that would be very interesting, combining East and West. Theosis theology. Thank you guys so much for the video requests and the live streams. Like, it literally helps me so much because I've made over 700 videos and I'm always like, what do I make again? And then I get like so many suggestions in live streams. It's so nice. Okay. Ephesus of Corinth, I love your username, by the way, it says of Corinth. Remember, according to Protestants, kneeling to dead soldiers is worship. And honestly, I kind of understand why Americans are so confused, because in other countries, you literally like bow to each other when you meet each other. Like when I live in Thailand, it's like Sawadee ka. Like you literally do that when you meet people. Sawadee ka. Every time you come into your room, you bow to every person in the room. And so it's just normal in some countries, whereas in the US, this stuff isn't normal. I don't have any more water. Okay. Rachel Yoder says, can you do a video on the different types of love? Like the love languages? That's really, I used to be obsessed with that. Can you do a video? I think I would be a good person to make that because I've had like situations where people didn't know my love language and I was like traumatized my whole life. Okay, on the different love languages. So my love language is physical touch, and actually my parents like never gave me that growing up. We just weren't like a touchy-feely family, you know? And they told me like a year ago that when I was really young, I like hated being held and I hated being touched and I hated being hugged. And so they like never did that and they thought I hated it. But now I realize that my skin is very, very sensitive. I don't know what it is. It's something about my body where I'm just physically sensitive. And I've been diagnosed with like highly sensitive persons. I don't know if that's a legit thing, but like multiple therapists have told me that. So basically, like anytime someone touches me, it's like, ow, like it hurts. If someone's like tapping me, it feels like they're hitting me. And I've just always been like that. And so growing up, my parents were like, oh, she hates physical attention. But really, like, they were just hurting me because they weren't gentle enough. So yeah, I realized with like friendships and stuff in college that I actually need that to feel loved by people. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's a bipolar thing either. It's just like my body is very sensitive. Sounds are very sensitive. Like if there's ever like a car makes a loud noise or there's like fireworks, I'm like, ah! You know, like I freak out so much. I hate fireworks. They're so, especially like if you're at a fireworks show, like you know what the sound is. But if random people are setting off fireworks, it's like, was that a gun? You know, that's my reaction. Okay. RJN238704. Thank you for the donation. I've been going to Mass lately, but I also have a natural secular worldview. I grew up Catholic and still get something out of it. Is that wrong of me? I don't think it's wrong to think something is beautiful and participate in it. Everyone's invited to come to Mass, and as long as you don't receive the Eucharist, because you haven't gone to confession lately, so you can't receive the Eucharist, but yeah, I think it's beautiful to come to Mass, and I think a lot of people, that's one of the things that attracts them to Catholicism. Scott Hahn, one of the most iconic converts in the 90s, he said going to Mass, because he was like a theology preacher, pastor at a church, and like teacher as well. And he said when he went to Mass, he heard the Bible, like in the entire Mass, like all the prayers and everything are just Bible verses. So yeah, I think the Mass is it's supposed to teach about the faith so much. So come to Mass as much as you'd like. Bruno says the Bible says we can eat meat in Genesis. So in the Garden of Eden before the fall, everyone was vegan. So That's how God intended it to be. He wanted us to be vegan, but then because of the fall and original sin coming in, we had to mutilate and murder animals for food. So obviously the ideal is going back to the Garden of Eden where everyone's vegan. So, and yeah, of course, I was just talking about how in 2100, dozens of civilizations are going to collapse and billions of people are going to die. So I was just talking about how it's actually good that humans can be carnivores, because once climate change kills billions of people, if we have to only eat meat, we can survive on that. Obviously, it's not good long-term for health, but you know, like we're able to be vegan, carnivore, omnivore, herbivore, like humans can eat so many different diets, so that will help us survive. Obviously, I'm super against carnivore diet. Jordan Peterson does the carnivore diet, but not even just like carnivore diet, but only beef in salt and water. Isn't that so weird? Okay. Jonathan Gamesh says, vegan is just a word for bad hunter. Carnivore is just a word for bad heart. You don't care, and you don't have compassion and empathy on beautiful, beautiful creatures and animals. So don't call yourself an animal lover if you eat meat, because you're not. You're just an animal lover of specific animals. So I've chosen to not eat anything that has a family and a face, but I think everyone should make that decision. Jonathan, bad heart. I said everyone has a bad heart. Like, you don't feel compassion. Okay. Heather says one diet isn't one size fits all. Yeah, absolutely. There's dozens of different vegan diets. Vegan is just a group of foods to eat. So people can be high protein vegan, keto vegan, high carb vegan, high fat vegan, low fat vegan, fruitarian, vegan, raw vegan. There's like literally dozens, hundreds of different vegan diets. So it's just a group of foods to eat. So yeah, a lot of people think that vegan diet is like just fruits and vegetables and high carb, but there's like so many protein and fat sources and stuff. So Jonathan says, so Jesus didn't feel compassion when he fed the 5,000 fish? He didn't kill the 5,000 fish. They weren't like fish that he physically killed. It was a miracle. So God didn't kill fish. He just fed fish. Does that make sense? He didn't like go and kill all of them. So I actually think that was a very compassionate thing, because he was feeding people a good protein source and a good omega-3 source without killing fish. And also, at that time, they weren't in a situation where they could be vegan. Like today, we have the luxury of being vegan, whereas at different times in human history, they didn't have the ability to like import food from all different parts of the world and stuff. So yeah, it's like a new phenomena where people are able to be vegan that isn't possible, that hasn't been possible for all of world history. So obviously, if you're choosing between killing an animal or dying, obviously you're going to kill the animal. I'm not like always against killing animals. Like in 2100, when climate change kills billions of us and destroys so many civilizations, if the only possible thing is to eat meat, then we should eat meat to survive as a human species. All vegans believe that. No vegan is saying, I'm literally gonna throw my life away because I refuse to eat meat. So, and vegans are fine with some animal testing needed for life-saving medication. A lot of animal testing is total trash in science labs and everything, like at universities, but some of it is actually important. Okay. Jonathan Garnish, this is exactly what I thought when I was saying it. He says vegan is not new. Hindus have been doing it for thousands of years. Yeah, so that is very interesting, but I will say that certain climates in certain places couldn't do veganism. Like Northern Europe, for example, they've been getting, not like now, but in the past, like they got their vitamin D from milk, and they weren't able to grow certain things during the winter. And so certain climates can allow veganism, but we really need the ability to import food from all around the world for certain climates to be able to be vegan the whole year. True Faith says, I bought a boar bristle hairbrush from Amazon today. Why do you have to kill an animal for that? That's so unnecessary. This was $7. How much was your brush? They keep the animals in like horrible conditions too. Yeah, and it's like when you can just buy a vegan brush and you don't have to support Jeff Bezos, it's way better to just go to Rite Aid. Okay. You See Me Rollin' says vitamin D is also in fatty fish like salmon and sardines. It's also in a ton of vegetables. So, yeah, and if you are going to eat meat, fish is way healthier than other meat. And then white meat, of course, is better than red meat and especially better than processed meat. Okay. Chaya says, I would like to see a video on the so-called screenshotting radical reformation, like the Anabaptist and Thomas Mutzer and a Catholic critique. Interesting. Okay. Michelle says, I'm pescatarian, dairy, fish, and seafood. Epiphasis of Corinth. Wait, so what is the first name? Could you explain your name? Some Protestant Bibles have pieces of Daniel missing. Most of them do. Okay. Yeah, why are there no commentator? Oh, there is a commentator. Okay, I see. You See Me Rollin' says mushrooms have vitamin D, whereas vitamin D3 is from fish. Alex, thank you so much for the donation. Lizzie, you should do another video on trans topics. Your videos so far have been really helpful and liberated me from gender identity issues. Wow. Specifically Catholicism, theosis, and the Jesus prayer. That's really, really beautiful. Let me know specific topics for those videos because there's so much to cover in them. I will say I've been really careful talking about that just because a lot of people misunderstand me. Like, I literally made a video and talking about this one Catholic YouTuber compared gender dysphoria in people who are born with gender dysphoria. He compared it to like a kid pretending to be a dog when playing, and I was like, that's very insensitive and super rude and mean and just wrong and unscientific. And people got so mad at me. Like, the only thing I was saying is like, can we please speak with empathy and compassion and not mock people who are born with certain medical conditions? That was all I was saying. And people, yeah. I think people just don't do research. I've done a lot of research into it just because I don't know anyone who's trans. And so I research a lot into gender dysphoria to understand all of it. And I guess that's just part of my personality. I like understanding different topics that I don't know. So I think a lot of people have not. So, but that's why I make my videos, to educate, but people are so against it. Okay. Blood Covenant says Protestants believe communion is once a month and symbolic, which goes contrary to what Christ said. So not all Protestants do communion once a month. Some do it once a year. Some it is optional. Some every week. Some twice on a Sunday. So there's lots of different ones. But yeah, it's not biblical to barely do it. Alex says, I know it's challenging. There's a lot to navigate. It needs to be done in a loving and scientific, compassionate way. Yeah, so I say a lot that I have more of a male brain just because I suck at empathy and don't understand emotions, and I'm very like direct and logic and take control type personality. But the one thing that, I mean, there's many things, but one of the things that's like super female about me is I do try to understand different people's perspectives and like present things in a compassionate and empathetic way and try to not hurt people and offend people by my words. And I think a lot of the, like, especially on Catholic YouTube, there's way more men than women. And I think if there were more women on Catholic YouTube, we would just be able to talk about the issues way better and evangelize better. Because I think women naturally want to be more empathetic and try to understand everyone's emotions and like how things would affect them. But also, it's something that might not even be like a female trait, but my entire YouTube channel, I've been very, very intentional about not hurting people and not being rude. just because I know there's like every religion and viewpoint, there's so many different people watching my videos. Like my entire 11 years of YouTube, there's been so many different religions, philosophies, viewpoints. And so I've always been very careful with my words. In person, I'm very jarring and I say whatever I think and I'm judgmental and I'm impulsive. But on camera, I always try to be very thoughtful with what I say. So I think some YouTubers, male creators, just don't care about that. Okay. Michelle Sunshine Star says, I've been following Lizzie since she was at Pepperdine, which is the college I went to. I like her for her mental health videos, but you're here too talking about theology, which is so sweet. Michelle says, and vegan videos. So I recently found out that on Twitter you can like follow certain topics. So it was like suggesting topics I should follow, and one of them was vegan. So now I see vegan things on my timeline all the time. And there's a lot of people who are like asking advice for going vegan or like sharing new vegan recipes. It's like the best thing ever. Because before my Twitter was just like really mean Catholics going after each other, and now it's like vegan Twitter. So someone was saying, though I disagreed with them, they were like saying that vegans shouldn't be supportive of people who are like giving up meat and dairy. They should only be supportive of people who go fully vegan. And they said like what made me go vegan was people confronting me and telling me I'm murdering animals and how horrible it is. And I was actually thinking about that, and I'm like, I think that's a unique type of person. I don't think everyone's like that. I think it's the same with religion. Like, you can't, veganism, evangelism for veganism is very similar to evangelism for Christianity. I've thought about it a lot. So when it comes to the truths about Christianity, you cannot just go up to people and be like, you're wrong, you're believing lies, this is why Catholicism is true. Summa, Catechism, Canon Law, read this, you're horrible, you're wrong. Like, that's not how it works. You have to be loving towards other people and form relationships, and then over time, people will ask questions and want to convert in. And so if we have to be chill when it comes to truths about God, then obviously we have to be chill when talking about truths about ethical aspects of veganism. So like when my friends give up dairy or stop eating meat at home, like I'm very supportive of that. I'm like, oh, that's so great. Like, what recipes are you using? You know, like I'm super positive. I'm not like, that's horrible because you're still not fully vegan. You're murdering animals. Don't call yourself an animal lover. Like, I never say that to my friends or family ever. Like, I'm so encouraging of like the little steps. And like on here too, I'm saying like it's so amazing if you give up like so much meat. It's helping a lot of animals and the environment and of course health. So yeah, I found that very interesting. And I feel like for me specifically, I probably am the same personality type as the original commenter who was like, what converted me into veganism was just being told like animal murder. So that was kind of helpful for me because I went vegetarian for a while after reading Peter Singer's work. So, but I actually got into veganism for the health aspect. I was researching that after depression, and then I discovered like even deeper the ethical aspect. So Ahmed, have you heard of the Satanic Mass? Yes. So Epiphases of Corinth, can you comment what your username means? You probably already said, but I missed it in the comments. Alex says, Lizzie, if you want, you should do a video screenshotting on mental health hospitalizations and the process of engaging with crisis resources to going to the ER. At the hospital, you can get quick medication changes, which can save your life. Yeah, honestly, I do not know that much about hospitalizations. I've read some bipolar memoirs of people who have been in psych wards. But yeah, I actually haven't met that many people who have. Maybe I have, because I've met a lot of bipolar people, but even when you're meeting a bipolar people and talking about bipolar, you don't always share about like, what was your mental health experience like in the hospital when you attempted suicide? You know, that's not like follow-up question I'll ask in our first conversation. I will say I did meet this one guy who's bipolar, and he was like fresh out of the psych ward when I met him, and so he talked about his experience a lot. But he shaved his eyebrows during his manic episode, and he had just broken up with his girlfriend, and he wanted to get back together, but he was like insecure about losing his eyebrows and like didn't want to talk to her. But he had his eyebrows back, so they must grow back really fast. Okay. Jake loves Jesus. Why are there so many trolls? I just think people have a lot of fun, you know, like people are having a hard time. This is like 2.5 years, year and a half of COVID. So it started in like February of 2020. So March, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, so it's been like 19 months of COVID. So people are really exhausted by it and in a bad mood, and it's just not a good time. So people come troll on the internet. They think it's fun. They get some dopamine hits out of it. And so honestly, like, people are going through a really hard time, and I don't judge people who are being mean on the internet. They're probably just having a bad day. Maybe they're going through a breakup. They feel lonely. They just moved to a new city and don't have a lot of close friends. They're stressed about paying rent. You know, there's so many reasons people are mean and trolls on the internet. So it honestly has, if someone's mean to you online, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their insecurities. Well, unless you're saying something really mean. If you're the one saying something really mean or ignorant and they're mad, it is your fault. But if you're just like being a normal person and get hate, then it's probably them. Jordan Beloved says, Lizzie, if I'm passionate about theology, should I start YouTube videos? I'm scared of accidentally saying something heretical online. What you should do is don't live stream if you're scared of that, and have someone watch over your YouTube videos. So I actually have my fiance read over my video scripts before filming because he knows more than I do. And so you could have someone read over your video scripts or watch your videos, especially if you're a new channel. I don't think you're going to be making like 40-minute videos. So you could get someone in your life who you trust to look over them, even like a priest on Twitter. If it's like really short, you can even pay him to do it. So I think that would be cool. Yeah, it's really, really bad, especially if you're a new Catholic, to be constantly like saying things on the internet. So you have to do like a ton of research for your videos. So that was always really important. I mean, it still is, but like, especially in like my first year being Catholic, I was very careful with researching what I said and not saying things that were wrong. Obviously, I messed up sometimes, but pray about it as well, that the Holy Spirit can guide your channel. Ahmed Rhodes, priests are not supposed to have money. Priests receive paychecks from their diocese. When you get married, you pay the priest for doing the sacrament of your marriage. So I don't think it would be weird to pay a priest for a task because they receive an income like everyone else. Ahmed Rhodes says, I have a question. Where do priests live? So usually there's a house next to the Catholic Church, which is called the rectory. And like most Protestant churches, it's the building and a parking lot. So at a Catholic church, there's like the church, there's like the parish secretary building, then there's the rectory building where the priest lives. So yeah, usually it's on the exact same place as the church. Other priests could like, oh yeah. When I was in Ireland, the priest I worked with had a house that wasn't connected to the church. So yeah, they can live in a house, an apartment, or on the church. So it's very, very helpful for them to be literally next to the church, because if someone comes and needs like last rites or, you know, baptism or something like in the moment, that's really, really important. So yeah, sometimes they wake up in like the middle of the night to get phone calls, but they do have days off. So yeah, sometimes my priest complains about it because it'll like be his day off, and someone else is in charge of like the hospital for the day of doing last rites there, and it's like his day off, you know, and the priest at the hospital are like taking an extended lunch break, and he's like, seriously, I need my rest time. So yeah, they have days and hours that they work like everyone else. Because honestly, people talk about this all the time, where like you can't love other people if you're not loving yourself and prioritizing yourself. And so especially for a priest who does full-time ministry, like he needs to protect his time and like protect his days off and everything. Danielle Smith says, you said your MBTI is ESTJ. What do you think about INFJ and ENFJ? You should make videos of the other types like you used to. Yeah, I made a lot of videos on them. So INFJ, I wouldn't want to make it because it would offend people in my life. So my sister, ex, college best friend, INFJ. And yeah, I feel like INFJs are really bad at like emotionally communicating. Like I just feel very neglected by them. And I really worked on it a lot with my sister especially, and we've been able to like work past it and everything. But yeah, I just feel like for some reason it's like a weird communication thing. But very intelligent, very fun conversations, respect them a lot. They care a lot about social justice issues, very hard workers, very successful. So yeah, they're amazing people. ENFJ. So ENFJ is one of my favorite work group situations. One of the guys who went to Thailand with me 2 summers, we were like working, like seeing each other constantly for several weeks. And also we worked together at my church, like so much. So ENFJ and ESTP are like my absolute favorite people in a work situation because they care so much, so detail-oriented, such hard workers. They don't, slack off on things. So yes, ENFJ, ESTP. ESTP is like my favorite ever for my friends. Like 3 of my really close friends in life have been ESTP, so they're so fun. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's a personality test that was really popular like 10 years ago. I don't know if it's still popular. No one talks about it anymore. Everyone's kind of moved on to Enneagram, and I made a whole video taking the Enneagram test live, and I was like every Enneagram. I mean, every Enneagram. Like, there wasn't one specifically. It was like I paired with all of them. So I was like, what is this? Austin Platt says, ENFP here. Yes, I respect you so much in work situations. Okay. Mecca Alice says, priests actually earn their income from diocese they are with. The money from weddings, funerals, intentions go to the church parish. Really? So the money you pay for a priest to do your wedding doesn't go to them, it just goes back to their diocese? I know like the marriage prep donation specifically goes to the parish, so that's weird that even the money to the priest they donate. So, very interesting. I'm curious about priests who are like social media famous, who write a lot of books and stuff. Like Father Mike Schmitz, for example, who gets paid by Ascension Presents to make videos and does talks and everything. Like, does all of that money go to his parish, or does he keep some of it? So, I don't know. I know there are some priests part of orders who make poverty vows where they, like, don't own possessions and stuff, but not all priests do that. Okay. Jordan Beloved says, I can't go to liturgy every week because the closest Orthodox church to me is over 2 hours away. What kind of things do you think would be helpful to do at home when I can't go to church? So you should just go to an Eastern Catholic church or a Catholic church. Obviously don't receive the Eucharist. That's like against the rules of the Orthodox Church and Catholic Church. You can also do a lot of praying. I have icons all over my house. It really makes me feel close to God and focus on prayer. I love when I pray. So look at my icons. I pray the rosary a lot, so I know you guys don't do that. You could totally learn that though. We have so much overlap with each other. So yeah, decorate your house to look like a church. Go to Catholic church. There's tons of Eastern Catholic churches, which are like the same John Chrysostom liturgy. So they'll like feel identical to your Orthodox church. So definitely go to that. If I was in a situation where the nearest Catholic church was 2 hours away, I would move to be close to it. But I know Orthodox is a smaller population in the US, so some of them are really far away, which is super sad. My family used to drive an hour to go to church when we lived in Ohio and Florida. But yeah, 2 hours. Is it, because if it's 2 hours one way, wow. I guess what I would do is I would try to find other Orthodox people in my vicinity and carpool together so we could like, different people could drive. Okay. No one says if you are Eastern Orthodox, look up Holy Ascension on YouTube. I'm curious what this is. I might have seen this before. Okay. Holy Ascension on YouTube. Okay, let's see. Holy Ascension Orthodox Church, Charleston, South Carolina. What? I feel like that's a B. How did it get in here? Oh, okay. So they just do live stream of their liturgy. Well, they have so many live streams. That's so cool. Okay. Michelle Sunshine Star says, seriously, I don't have an excuse. A Catholic church is literally down the street. I can walk. But the priest thinks I'm weird. I just get the vibe from him. Yeah, but it's not about the priest, you know? It's about hanging out with Jesus, singing with other people, praying together, you know? Like, people are not gonna like you in a lot of parts of life, and you still have to deal with it, you know? It'd be like saying you don't like your psychiatrist, but, like, you have to get your meds from your psychiatrist every week, and it's like, I would still go, you know? Like, if it's the most convenient psychiatrist, even if they super judge you and are annoying, like, you just go anyways and you have to deal with them, but it's fine. So I think that's a good metaphor, because it's like the priest obviously teaches a lot and you learn from him, and he acts in the person of Jesus for the Eucharist and stuff. But yeah, if you don't like him as a person, that's fine. And also, I feel like if you get to know him more, he's not gonna think you're weird. Like, if you have one bad experience with someone, like for example, I was visiting my fiance and I met one of his friends, and I had like an extreme work emergency going on where I had like a strict deadline and I had to have someone else do something for the deadline, and I was on my phone and I like barely said hi because I was like, work emergency, we have 15 more minutes to go, we have to get this done. And so the person thought I was a horrible person and was always on my phone, which is like the opposite of my personality. I'm never on my phone. And so I think a lot of times if you have like a bad first impression or like a weird situation, people will judge you, but like the more you get to know them, they won't. And you're right, like some people are really judgmental, and maybe the priest is like more of a judgmental person and he'll have like one interaction with you and then judge you. But I feel like no, because priests interact with like every kind of person ever, especially in confession. They hear like everything. So today in confession, I confessed something I forgot, because there was something I wanted to confess like 2 weeks ago and I forgot what it was. So I literally went into confession and I was like, this is super random, but I feel like you've heard it before because you've heard everything. And then I explained how I forgot my sin, and it's still forgiven. If you forget your sin and you like remember it later, or you like intended to confess it, it's still forgiven, even if you can't remember. So, but if you do remember, you have to say everything you remember. If you like intentionally omit, then you have to go to confession again. So, okay, Julius Guterres, thank you so much for the donation. What is this? Is that a weightlifting thing? Wait, let me see. Oh yeah, it's weightlifting. Okay. Lucas Sendorf, would you like to live in a mostly Catholic country like Brazil? Absolutely. I would love it so much. It's very annoying living in this country because there's like constant anti-Catholic bigotry. Like everyone you talk to thinks you worship Mary and don't read the Bible, and it's just like so annoying. It's exhausting sometimes. So I would much rather live in a Catholic country where everyone knows that Catholics are not idolaters, you know, and it's like the major religion and everything. So there'd be churches everywhere. It'd be like more of a collectivist society. So yes, I'd absolutely love that. I wish I was born in an all-Catholic country. Ahmed Rhodes, would you live in Rome? I've never been there before, so I don't know anything about the culture, but I'm probably gonna go next year, so we'll see. Heather says, Lizzie, do you find being brutally honest about how you feel to God or in confession is most important? I think it is. Yeah, but I would say it's not like a dichotomy for me. Like, it's never, I'm not the type of person who is not honest. Like, I feel like I'm extremely, extremely emotionally open and share everything in depths. So honestly, confession isn't like this dichotomy where it's like, I'm brutally honest because it's confession. It's like, I'm also brutally honest to my psychiatrist and my best friends and my fiance and my family and on the internet during live streams. So yeah, confession was never something that was really hard to me just because of therapy. I mean, confession existed before therapy. Confession is kind of like the proto-therapy, you know what I mean? Although confession is way better. I mean, no, I take that back. I would say both are amazing and there isn't a dichotomy between them. But, you know, if you did have to choose one, then I would choose the sacrament. But the Catholic Church doesn't make us choose because it's a very pro-science. But anyways, my point though is in therapy, you're sharing extremely intimate details about your life to a stranger. And so, yeah, it's not that different. And the one thing is I prefer female therapists. So that's the one thing that's weird talking to a guy about it. Like I have had male therapists that I've liked, but yeah, actually, I think my first long-term male therapist was after I became Catholic. And I honestly think I wouldn't have liked that if I wasn't used to confession. So yeah, that's one of the things that is weird to me. I feel like, okay, it's definitely a fly and not a bee. The animal. I still don't like it. Okay. We're gonna end the live stream soon. Let's see what time it is. It is... Technically, it hasn't been 2 hours because I started live streaming really late. But I think I'm gonna go. I want to make some food. Greek name says, how do you become Catholic? So go talk to a priest or the parish secretary at your church, call the office and talk to them and say, I want to become Catholic. How do I join RCIA? RCIA is the Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults. The Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults, RCIA. And you join the class in the fall, which is the perfect time. Right now is the beginning of the class. So you can join and you'll learn so much about the Catholic Church. It's like a Q&A format, so you can ask a lot of questions and you can make your decision there. If you want to be Catholic, you'll learn about it. But you can officially be confirmed, baptized, first confession, first communion, all the sacraments once you go through RCIA. It's so much fun. I also have a whole video on how to become Catholic called that. And I share like a ton of resources in the video. Raul says RCIA can be very hit or miss. Yes, there are some bad RCIAs. So since there are so many Catholic churches, you can like try out the RCIA if you're concerned about that. You can like contact 4 different parish secretaries and then go to each class and pick which one is your favorite. So that's an option. Okay, the Raw Fish King. Did you get a chance to look up Father Thomas Quinlan? Was that another live stream or this one? Because this live stream, I've been doing the live stream. Let me write that down. Oh, it totally wasn't this live stream, huh? Thomas Quinlan. Let's Google it right now. And then I can read about it later. Let's see. Oh, he was murdered? Whoa, 1,010 funeral for Jersey priest murdered by school intruder. Whoa. 1,000 relatives, friends, former students, and clergymen. No way 1,000 people are coming to my funeral. Who has 1,000 people come to their funeral? I guess if he was a priest for a long time, it's like everyone who was ever part of his parish. Oh, he was only 37? Wow. Oh, they found the person who killed him. Wow. That's super sad. Okay. Joshua says there is a push to make a Catholic firefighter who died in the Twin Towers canonized. That would be really sweet. It's just reading today about more of the 9/11 stuff. It's just so incredible, the heroism of these firefighters who like go into a building that's falling down to save people. It's just that type of sacrifice is just so amazing. Mecca Alice, this is from a conversation like 5 minutes ago. I should correct myself. The diocese sets their salary. Yes, priests could be paid by stipends, but it depends which diocese they're with. I don't think that's true because each church has like a separate budget. Like, for example, when giving out holy oil in my archdiocese, every single parish pays for their holy oil. It's not like the archdiocese is nitpicking everyone's budget and paying for things. So, I don't know that. I could be wrong though. Heather has an Antiochian Orthodox friend. That's so sweet. Evolution. Lizzie, have you ever watched SpongeBob before? No. We didn't have TV growing up. There was people like quote memes from it and stuff, and actually I think there's a meme that people do in YouTube videos, and they're like 5 minutes later or like 5 hours later in like a weird voice. Isn't that SpongeBob? I feel like it is. Evolution, no TV, poor Lizzie. I had so much to do growing up. I played viola, I did sewing competitions, I was in choir, I did ballet, cross country and track, math competition teams, debate, film, YouTube channel, creative writing. I had so much to do. I didn't have time to watch TV. And reading, I did so much reading. It was so much fun. Joshua says TV rotted my mind growing up. Yeah, I'm not for anything that can get addicting. Like TV and video games you can easily get addicted to. And I mean, it was a lot less bad back then. Now with Netflix, you can just binge a whole show and spend hours doing it. Whereas before, it's like that show plays each episode once a week. So I think now it's even worse, and it's really hard for people to not get addicted to things, but that's why you should have hobbies and a social life and go to mass and have so many things going on so you don't have time to just like watch TV all the time. Sky Mars, what do you think about TV in your room? I think it depends on the age. I don't know what I would do as a parent. I mean, probably everyone will have like a computer, and so you can watch it on your computer anyways. So like, what's the difference between like a TV in your room versus a computer? So I don't know. Evolution says if you played some of the boring video games I play, you'd never get addicted. Michelle says my dad got us TVs in middle school and high school. I mean, I would want to have some control over like what my kid is watching. So you see me, Roland says I'm saying it wrong. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. We've been on here for almost 2 hours. Your hair looks great. Okay, I had to change my hairstyle because I was putting my makeup on and I was like kind of rushing because I was late to the live stream. And I had my beauty blender and I put it like here instead of here, and I got like a ton of foundation in my hair. And I was like, I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't know. Maybe it's like absorbed into my hair. So. Oh my gosh, the fly is so annoying. Okay, evolution, the internet mostly replaced TV. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people watch YouTube now rather than TV shows, so. YouTube is addictive. Yeah, for me it's not, because I don't watch a lot of like fun videos. I mean, I think what I watch is fun, but I watch a lot of like informational videos, like vegan videos, Catholic videos. Mostly I like watch a lot of vegan stuff now. I used to watch some vloggers and like follow me around stuff. And there are a couple YouTubers who I do watch, but mostly it's like vegan videos. I find they're really helpful. Thank you so much for the donation, Phil. So sweet. Danielle says, random, but what would you say your natural hair color is? My roots are my natural hair color. Growing up, my hair was blonde up until like mid-high school. And so I started bleaching my hair then, and I actually bleached it with hydrogen peroxide by myself, and I made a video about it. Let's see how many views that has. And I actually did my own hair up until like 2017 just with hydrogen peroxide, and ombre was like really popular then. Now balayage is. So I get my balayage done and then it just grows out, and I like it as it grows out. I might get it blonde again at the top soon. Who knows? We'll see how I feel. Okay, I want to see this video, hydrogen peroxide, Lizzie hair. Let's see. Where is it? It's because the video is from 10 years ago. So let's do Lizzie's Answers and see where it comes up. Why is it not coming? Where's the video? Maybe I need to. Okay, here we go. Lizzie's Answers, bleach. Let's see if this is it. Okay, here we go. 41,000 views. How to naturally lighten and bleach hair. 40K. Yeah, it says 10 years ago. That's a really sweet thumbnail too. Aw. Okay. You see me rolling. Lizzie, have you ever seen the video of me at the zoo? I've never heard of that. I'll look it up though if it's on YouTube. Okay, is it appropriate? Okay, maybe I won't watch it just because. Oh, it has 183 million views. Oh, I have my headphones. I'll listen to it, and you guys, if there's any bad words, you guys won't know. It's only 18 seconds. Okay. There's 2 elephants behind him. What did he say? Let's put... Oh, he said he hopes the elephants have long trunks. Yeah, so it's only 18 seconds, and it has 183 million views from 2005. YouTube existed in 2005? I think it started in 2005. Let's see. I didn't start watching YouTube until like 2008. 2010 was around like when everyone started YouTube. That was for me. History of YouTube, November 2005. Whoa! It was on April 2005? What? How? This says YouTube began in November. Oh, no. February 2005. So this was in April. So 2 months after YouTube began, and it has 183 million views. Wait, the person has 2 million subscribers now. Oh, no, that's the only video? And he has 2 million subscribers and verified? Why doesn't he make content? Talk about literally anything. San Diego Zoo posted, "We're so honored that the first ever YouTube video was filmed here." Okay, I'm against zoos because we're putting animals in cages and jails. I don't think it's sweet. I think it's really mean. I think they should be in their natural habitat. I totally get that some animals are injured and need to be taken care of before being put back into the wild, or maybe like permanently they need to stay in an animal sanctuary. But yeah, horrible. Why are we paying for animals to be locked up? So totally against that. I think it's horrible. Sorry, I want to check real quick. Okay, yeah. So the TV show I watch is called One Planet, and it films animals in the wild. It's so sweet. It films families and animals courting each other and plants and ecosystems and communication, swimming, running, everything like that. So it's called One Planet. It's a BBC series, and there's rainforest, deep sea, shallow sea, there's like rainforest, jungle, safari, everything. So watch One Planet and don't support zoos. So the only thing I'm worried about is my kids will get bullied if they like don't go to the zoo on the zoo day. So maybe we'll like come up with an excuse for why they can't come so they don't get bullied. Firecracker, do you think it's wrong to kill a snake in the yard? That's a really good question. I don't know anything about snakes. I don't know about if they're dangerous or what's going on, but I mean, if something could threaten your life, obviously choose your life over the animal. We were talking about this like 20 minutes ago, when I would kill an animal. If I would literally die unless I ate an animal, I would kill the animal. I don't know if I'd be able to. I would have someone else. Yeah, I don't know if I could kill it. But if it was literally like I would die, I guess I would, if it was like that survival situation. So, sorry, there's a fly going around that I thought was a bee, but it's definitely a fly, which is great. Okay, yeah, and when it comes to like ants and bugs, like when there's bugs, I tend to release them outside, which I think is really good. And my fiance does too. It's so sweet. Instead of killing the bugs, he like releases them outside, which is so nice. So yeah, obviously if there's like an ant infestation, what I do with ants is if you put cinnamon on the wall or on the floor, the ants will not walk past the cinnamon. So that will like cause the ants to turn around and go away. So I think there's ways like that where you don't have to like unnecessarily kill creatures. Obviously, if there's like, a cockroach or ants or like mice or stuff like that, like obviously I prefer to not kill them, but they are pests. And so I don't really have a problem with that. But there might be some vegans who are like against killing cockroaches and stuff. I don't know. Lizards I always release in the wild, but I'm in Florida. If there's one in the house, I like take it outside. So maybe I should do that for cockroaches. I just like don't feel empathy for them. Is that bad? I don't know. I wish the vegan YouTubers, some of the really serious ones, would make videos about that. Guys, so one of the biggest vegan YouTubers, Vegan Gains, got all his videos deleted on his channel. He had 2 strikes. I don't know what he did to get the strike, but the second strike deleted every single video on his channel, and the 3rd strike deletes his entire channel. So I hope he can fight that and get his videos back. I don't know, I just feel like that's so horrible, destroying someone's career and livelihood. Like, he's literally a YouTuber, that's his life, it's his career. He's really helping the planet and people's health and the animals by promoting veganism. Yes, he says some controversial things, so does everyone. No one's perfect. Some people have huge flaws in their character, and maybe he said something racist and that was it, but yeah, there's a Catholic YouTuber who got his channel deleted, not just all the videos. And he was like didn't believe in the COVID or VACCINE. He didn't believe in it, and so his channel got deleted. So yeah, I just think like that's horrible. Like, you shouldn't destroy someone's livelihood. There should be free speech, and I totally understand wanting to get rid of like racist or misogynistic content. I get that. But it still seems like you shouldn't delete someone's entire channel. Maybe like delete the video, So, and obviously demonetize it. But yeah, I think demonetizing does a really good job of controlling it. Because if someone's career is YouTube and you demonetize videos that are racist, I think they'll change their behavior and not make videos like that. So yeah, I just think that's really bad, deleting someone's entire video. Like, I imagine that happening to me. Like, I would literally... I don't think I would continue YouTube when you lose all of your content. So maybe he'll re-upload all of his content. That'd be cool. Okay, so it will have been 2 hours and a minute and a half. So I'll wait out the minute and a half. Firecracker, racism is not an unpardonable sin. Yes, it can be forgiven in confession. People need to go to confession for racism. But I'm talking about having a platform and allowing racism to be on it. So I definitely think videos should get demonetized and even deleted, or have them take that part out of the video. But yeah, don't delete people's entire... I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're a Holocaust denier, but the two people I'm talking about were not anything that severe. So... But I didn't see what Vegan Gain said, so maybe he said something horrible and I disagree with him. I don't know. But it was through a live stream. See, that's what's so dangerous about live streaming. Stuff can happen like that. Okay, 30 seconds. Anything important to say? Epiphasis of Corinth. I still don't know why you are named that. Maybe next live stream, if you're here, let me know. I'm really curious. Okay, I love you guys so much. In 15 seconds, we will have been here for 2 hours. Thank you for hanging out with me. As always, I live stream on Saturdays from 5 to 7 Pacific time, 8 to 10 Eastern time, and I upload on Wednesdays. I am gonna upload on Wednesday. There might actually be 2 videos next week, so we'll see. My campus ministry job has just been super, super busy right now since it's the beginning of the semester. So last week was the first week of classes. The week before, there were a ton of meetings, new student orientation, club fairs, like logistics, so much stuff. So it's going to calm down this week and next week. Okay, we've been here for 2 hours. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.